Hello DG, thank you for taking time to watch this video. Working on Kedarnath and Badrinath redevelopment project at I9 Design Studio made me realize that successful regional development goes far beyond architecture. It requires planning across multiple scales. That inspired me to pursue a Master of Planning specialization in urban infrastructure WASH at CEPT University. In this video, I would like to briefly share how my academic experiences have shaped my approach to planning. I will begin with my DRP titled Climate Resilient Sanitation in Hill Cities, Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh, guided by Professor Mona Iyer and supported by NIOA Parvat Manthan. The primary aim of this research was to assess the climate-related vulnerabilities of sanitation system in Dharamshala and develop prioritized context-specific climate-resilient adaptation pathways. To achieve this, the study was structured around four key objectives. The first was to understand the city's urban and climate context. The second was to assess the existing sanitation system using sheet flow diagram methodology together with an inclusive climate-sensitive WASH framework. The third objective was to identify priority intervention areas and finally to develop adaptation pathways. These objectives were addressed through a combination of field investigation, spatial analysis, policy review, and infrastructure assessment. This study involved 24 days of fieldwork in Dharamshala. During this period, I conducted 21 key informant interviews with stakeholders across multiple departments, including Jal Shakti Vibhag, Municipal Corporation, private consultant, NGOs. For primary data collection, I carried out 96 household surveys and assessed 26 public toilet facilities across different parts of the city. I also surveyed major tourist destinations and recreational spaces, including Dharamshala ground, to understand the seasonal pressure placed on the sanitation infrastructure. This extensive fieldwork formed the foundation of the research. Alongside, I carried out an extensive literature review covering global to local studies related to the climate resilience and WASH. The review began with the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, understanding its environmental significance and unique challenges faced by the mountain settlements. It then narrowed its focus to the Indian Himalayan region, followed by Himachal Pradesh, Kangra district, and finally Dharamshala. I also reviewed existing literature to identify knowledge gaps and build the context for the study. Dharamshala's development has been influenced by three major milestones: the 1905 Kangra earthquake, the establishment of Tibetan government in exile in 1959, and its transition into municipal corporation in 2015, followed by its inclusion under Smart City Mission with the vision of becoming global tourist destination. Today, municipal corporation consists of around 17 wards, serving a resident population of approximately 53,500 with an additional floating population of around 10 to 12%, primarily driven by tourism. Spatial analysis revealed that although the municipal area is extensive, only around 47% of land is habitable, while remaining area consists largely of forest and steep terrain. This significantly influenced settlement pattern, infrastructure development, and service delivery. The study then examined the city's water supply system. Dharamshala currently depends on three WTP, all supplied by Bathhed and Gajukhad, a spring-fed gravity-based system that is highly dependent on snowfall and seasonal discharge. Interviews with officials and residents highlighted declining water availability due to changing rainfall pattern and reduced snowfall. Peripheral wards are increasingly dependent on groundwater sources, while many traditional springs continue to be used for domestic purposes. However, these springs remain vulnerable to contamination because of their close proximity to the on site sanitation system, creating significant public health concern. Coming to the sanitation assessment, despite achieving ODF status, nearly 57% of Dharamshala's population relies on on-site sanitation. While central wards are largely sewer connected, peripheral wards depend on septic tanks, many of which lack effective fecal sludge management. I also mapped key institutions involved in sanitation service delivery to understand their roles and responsibilities. Detailed assessment of 26 public toilets revealed that although most facilities remain operational, many lack basic accessibility features such as ramp, grab rail, and gender responsive infrastructure. Their performance is also affected by seasonal challenges, including heavy rainfall, snowfall, landslide, fluctuating tourist demand. At several locations, infrastructure damage caused by landslide and aging construction was observed. One significant observation was that caretakers were often residing informally within or adjacent to public toilet premises due to the absence of designated accommodation. The assessment also identified several dysfunctional public toilets located at major tourist destinations, placing additional pressure on remaining operational facilities. At recreational areas such as Dharamshala ground, the mismatch between user demand and sanitation provision were particularly evident, with a single toilet serving thousands of visitors during public events. Household surveys were undertaken across diverse locations representing different terrain conditions, sewer connectivity, proximity to natural spring, and settlement patterns. The survey mapped the on-site and off-site sanitation service chain, including containment system, desludging practices, climate impact, and household perception. This helped capture the spatial variation in sanitation condition throughout the city. The findings were further integrated into a shit flow diagram, which indicated that approximately 61% of fecal waste is unsafely managed. The sanitation system was then evaluated using ICS WASH framework, combining service level assessment with climate risk analysis. This process helped identify priority intervention areas where climate change, inadequate infrastructure, and institutional challenges overlap. Based on these findings, the study developed a series of context specific adaptation pathways. Among them, Pathway 2 focused on improving public sanitation infrastructure through urban design intervention. The proposal selected the Bhagsunak public toilet as a demonstration site because it serves a large tourist population while having no alternative public toilet within 1.5-kilometer radius. The existing facility suffers from accessibility limitation, operational challenges, inadequate caretaker accommodation, and increasing pressure during peak tourist season. The proposal reorganizes the existing site footprint without requiring additional land. It introduced dedicated caretaker housing, an accessible public toilet, climate responsive design elements, and a small rental commercial space to generate revenue for long term operation and maintenance. The objective was not simply to redesign a toilet, but to demonstrate how public sanitation infrastructure can become more inclusive, financially sustainable, and resilient to future climate challenges. So, overall, this project strengthened my understanding of climate resilient infrastructure planning and demonstrated how research, fieldwork, and spatial analysis can be integrated to develop context specific planning solutions. The complete study has been documented in a comprehensive report of nearly 190 pages. Next is my third semester work. As a part of fourth member team, I contributed to solid waste management sector by developing a city-wide assessment and sectoral strategy for Rajkot. Building on this studio, I independently developed a pilot action plan to address garbage vulnerable points along the Aji River. Using the GIS mapping and field survey, I created a diagnostic toolkit to identify and prioritize intervention areas. The proposal translated these findings into an implementable framework integrating nature-based solution, project costing, blended financing, and a model request for proposal for citywide application. For a more detailed overview, I have also included a 4-minute project presentation. Next is my city infrastructure planning studio in Surat. As a part of group project, I contributed to a city scale infrastructure assessment focusing on climate resilience and blue green infrastructure systems. Building on this, I independently developed a shoreline resilience strategy for a Suali Tina coastal corridor using GIS analysis, temporal satellite imagery, field investigation, and stakeholder consultation. I assessed ecological and climate vulnerabilities along the shoreline. The proposal integrates nature-based solution, including mangrove restoration, creek rejuvenation, ecotourism, and community livelihood, supported by a implementation framework, blended financing, and institutional governance model through a SPV. My first semester focused on understanding how cities function before attempting to solve their problem. Through detailed spatial mapping, field observation, and community interactions, I learned how multiple layers of information, land use, infrastructure, mobility, public spaces, social dynamics can be combined to build a comprehensive understanding of urban systems. This experience became the foundation of my planning approach. Alongside my academic work, I completed a research internship at the Climatology Lab, IIT Roorkee, where I contributed to work on urban river rejuvenation under Amrut program. The internship exposed me to applied environmental research, GIS analysis, nature-based solutions, and interdisciplinary collaboration, further strengthening my interest in climate responsive planning. After completing my final semester, I participated in SWS in Kullu Manali region. This experience expanded my perspective beyond conventional planning by exploring the relationship between mountain ecology, traditional governance, cultural landscapes, and community knowledge. It reinforced the importance of context-sensitive planning, particularly within Himalayan region. Together, these experiences have shaped my approach as a planner, combining research, fieldwork, spatial analysis, and practical implementation. Alongside my professional experience, they have guided my transition from architecture to regional infrastructure planning. I look forward to contributing to a multidisciplinary project that create resilient and sustainable places. Thank you for watching.